Along a gritty industrial area, the South Bronx is a neighborhood in transition as developers seek land at affordable prices in New York City. During the first half of the year, investors pumped more than $1.4 billion into Bronx real estate. More than 40% of that investment was in the Southwest Bronx. Walking around the neighborhood, it's hard not to stumble upon new restaurants, bars, and housing. At this former warehouse, Somerset Partners and the Shatreat Group are planning a large-scale apartment complex with thousands of new units. And this is just one of the projects that could reinvent this waterfront neighborhood. For the November issue of The Real Deal, we spoke to several developers about why they think the Bronx is the next big investment opportunity.
For years, this was always considered like, this is going to be the next Dumbo, the next Williamsburg, but it never really took off. And part of the problem was, the market crashed in 2007. But now you see it starting to happen, and it's really happening with a lot of force.
So you're on the 7th floor of 2417 3rd Avenue in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. This floor is 22,700 feet. It boasts 12-foot high ceilings, and as you can see, tons of light and air, and views on all 4 sides. The building is set up and to be designed for commercial tenancy, and we're really catering technology companies, media companies, makers, and a lot of artists and galleries are looking at the space as well. We think the Bronx is the next hot area. It's very close to Manhattan. The 3rd Avenue Bridge is right over here. People are looking for value and unique opportunities, and we think this affords both.
Top secret investigation. Bronx Gentrification Exhibit Number 1. Changing foreign real estate withholding rate. Manipulating voters. Campaign disclosure violations. This is Joseph Crowley. Joseph Crowley was a former representative of the 14th District of New York. Now take a look at the top of your screen. For this exhibit, you will be able to see what or why Joseph Crowley is no longer the representative of that 14th district. It reads, the recently enacted Protecting American Taxpayers from Tax Hikes Act, which was H.R. 2029, includes 2 very positive FIRPTA provisions that are conservatively estimated to boost foreign investment in U.S. commercial real estate by $20 to $30 billion per year. Mr. Crowley went to the House back in 2015, April the 30th of 2015, and introduced a new bill to increase the tax rate for foreign investors. He and Representative Kevin Brady introduced a bill that was called Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes Act. It was the Real Estate Investment and Jobs Act. But that particular act was not for actual protecting of Americans, but to increase the amount of protection for those who are foreign investors. And for that reason, in the United States Secret Court, I call this a verdict fail. Later in this video, you'll see our special guest and what happened in New York due to what Mr. Crowley involved himself with. Take a look to the right of your screen where there are 30 buildings that are going up in New York. Now take a look at Shaul Cuba. Shaul Cuba is the CEO of CIM Group in New York. His company website says, "We reposition and develop properties in establishing transitional urban housing." All right, so that connects us back to that various document. The document that was of Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes Act, right? The Real Estate Investment and Jobs Act. But he wasn't alone, so there was 4 other developers that were involved. John Westerfield with Mitsu Fudotsun, right? So that Mitsu Fudotsun is from Japan, Tokyo, Japan. That's where that particular company is from, Japan. All right? And again, you have to realize that this gentrification is due to foreign investment in real estate property. Okay? Shibir Khan from Creaton Group. This is another major developer that was in that meeting that went to take a tour of South Bronx to change it. All right. Now, Mr. Khan is in trouble with the FBI for bank fraud because his brother, Aga Khan, was involved with gas stations, about 26 gas stations that were going to be going up, really with a $10 million loan from a bank. That those gas stations were going to be in Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. Now, what his brother did is he went to the banker and provided them with false tax returns. So Shibir Khan was involved somehow because he was also charged with bank fraud, right? So it looks to me as if Shibir Khan and some of these other guys really aren't the right type of individuals for investing in Queens, Bronx, and Queens, right? But he's not the person that would alarm people that looks at this video. Yeah, that's Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is a senior advisor for the Trump administration. That's right. That's President Trump's daughter's husband, right? But the Kushners were involved in purchasing of some of these properties, or one or a couple of these properties, and right now he's been in trouble because he's trying to get rid of 66 Fifth Avenue, or trying to sell it, right? But that was not even the major issue or problem. The major problem was somehow this side of his developing buildings, where these goons, I call them, have somehow gone into the White House. They end up coming to the White House for some reason, trying to talk with Kushner. So that's why he was in trouble with this, really in the White House. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like Joseph Crowley set all of this stuff up, because he's the one who went to the House of Representatives and had the bill for the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act of 1980, which is FARPTA. He had it changed, right? That was at the very beginning of this video. All right. So basically, what you have are 30 developments that is going up in Long Island City, or what they call it, Long Island City. But what you have is 30 buildings going up in a small amount of time frame. And during that time frame, Joseph Crowley was taking this to the floor. So it looks like the scheme is that he was already involved in making sure this goes through. He already knew that it was going to go through because he was taking money from real estate companies. All right? So that's why he's not in office anymore, is because he was involved in this scheme. And it connects to gentrification of Bronx and Queens in the 14th district of New York. All right? Look at building number 1. Building number 1 is 5 Points Tower. Now, it has a lot of rental units, right? Right, so where businesses can come in and set up shop. Well, it has 1,115 rental units for this particular building. All right, didn't get how tall. Well, actually, it has 48 stories, so that's a lot of businesses that'll be going into this particular building, right? Let's look at number 2. As you can see here, it's a little blue building here. You know, it's kind of shaped like a, I'm not sure, a gun or something. I'm not exactly sure. But this is building number 2. This building here is called Toyoko in Long Island Hotel. And this is a hotel. It has 35 stories. And it's connected back to who? John Westerfield at Mitsu Fudosan, right? The Japanese company. So this is what this video is all about, this Foreign Investment Act, where Joseph Crowley was involved with all of this big real estate scheme that's going on in the gentrification of Bronx and Queens in his district, right? Look at building number 3. And this is only a couple of the buildings that I'm going to introduce to you. This building is called 5 Court Square. It has 11 stories, 73 rental units, right? All right, so these are rental units, meaning businesses. This isn't going back for the people of Bronx and Queens. No, it's going towards people who are business owners, right? Number 4. Now this is a residential building. It has a really wonderful, sleek, modern design. It looks really nice. But people, this particular, the residences here, it's like over $1 million to live here, right? So in that particular, this number 4, the building name of this building is, or what it's been reported as 4320 24th Street Residential. All right, so that's what this building is. But people can't afford that. Now, that very first document is important. That very first document says that if you are an individual that purchases something in this new real estate district, if it's over $1 million, you will have to, you still will not receive the 15%. Well, people, these guys don't have to worry about that because they're not going to live here. You understand? They're not going to live in these places. They don't live here. So therefore, they get a 15% withholding. That's what the bill did. It didn't go towards what Mr. Crowley and his spokesperson had said. Now, this is what this Mr. Crowley's spokesperson said. It says these 30 buildings, or these real estate, this scheme, is going to strengthen the economy. It's going to spur growth, and for the most part, it probably would spur growth, you know, financially, and support union jobs. Yeah, with construction jobs. Yeah, it's probably going to do that. But if you go back over to Mr. Shiverkhan. Mr. Shiverkhan is in a lawsuit with this little, you see this little red square here, or what have you, this little shaped building here. He's trying to sell that building because he's a con artist, okay? He's a con artist. He's trying to sell it, and the reason that he's trying to sell that building is because he's going to be out of $10 million, right? For this fraud, this bank fraud stuff. So that, and and he's been sued by construction companies. So that's not really helping the people of the Bronx and Queens. He's making things so much more complicated with allowing these foreign investment people to come in New York and buy it up. You know what I mean? All right, so let's take a look at this building. Oh, this building is 4325 Hunter Street. It's 50 stories, 974 rental units. Rental units. Rental units is businesses, people. When businesses go into buildings like this, like number 1 and number 3 and number 5, they have their own employees. That's not going to give people a job in Bronx and New York and Queens. No, they're going to bring their own people. They're bringing their own people. But see, the only people that win in this situation are people like Joseph Crowley, these real estate developers, and big real estate companies. Not the people. But see, because for the residential tower here, if they were to buy something over $1 million in this particular building, their taxes will go, their withholding would go down. Meaning that they are not going to receive much money from it. But they do. These people here, some of these con artists. All right. So I just wanted to give you an idea about what this gentrification means. Because this gentrification, what it means is that they're taking away lower income areas and replacing them with upper income areas. In and around these buildings, things are changing and will continue to change because these wealthy people are coming into the Bronx, or South Bronx really, and Queens, and taking over, so that middle class people will enjoy all of their luxuries and things that they can afford. So the rent in those areas will go up, right? And the prices of things will go up. There will be stores in these areas that will be so expensive that the people that live in Bronx and Queens can't afford it. So that's why Joseph Crowley is out of office. But he's not the secret guest that I have for today. You're going to see who the secret guest is and what that person can't do to stop this problem.